right, so hi everyone. I'm Lisa with Musicplay and will be your moderator this afternoon. In today's webinar, Stacy Werner will introduce new project-based learning resources from the genre of music unit on Musicplay Online. So Stacy, we're thrilled to have you back and take it away.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you so much for joining us here today. I know this is kind of Musicplay or a music teacher busy time. We're getting ready for all of our performances, and I know it's also American Thanksgiving next week. So I know it's a very busy time for you. So thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to do some professional learning for yourself today. So today I'm excited to share with you the musical genres unit on Musicplay Online, and then some research projects that go along with this unit. So my journey to creating these projects started when I found out I was going to have to start teaching grade 5 and grade 6 music, which I had not done for a little while for grade 5. And then I've also never taught grade 6 music before. So I was really nervous about teaching grade 6 music. Partially because you read all the comments on Facebook about how hard it is to engage those age groups. So for me, it was really important to find some different ways to connect with those students and some ways to bring in the music that they were listening to at home into the music classroom. So that was kind of the beginning of this unit, and then Musicplay Online took it to the next level with me and was able to add even additional resources to what I already had created. So today, our goals are to first figure out where are those resources on Musicplay Online, and then we're going to explore ways to guide our students into understanding how the elements of music will connect to the songs and the music that they're listening to from different styles and genres. And then to end off today, I'm going to give you some strategies and some ways you can manage your time and classroom management strategies, because doing these types of projects as a specialist teacher, I found was actually, it had its unique challenges with time constraints and management and technology and making all of that work. So I'm going to give you some of my best troubleshooting tips along the way. Okay, so we're going to start first just by showing you where this unit is on Musicplay Online. So if I go onto Musicplay, here I am on the landing page. I go over to units, and then I narrow it down to listening units, and then genres of music. And here is the unit. And before I even go through the unit with my students, I want them to have lots of experience listening and having active music making opportunities with those genres. And so I'm just going to go back to present mode here. So these are just some activities that I've used over the years that work for a variety of songs in a variety of styles. And you've maybe even seen some of these activities before, but they work really well to cover a variety of genres. And these activities also work really well with upper elementary students. And the first one is the music grid steady beat. And this activity is great for reviewing and reinforcing steady beat throughout the school year with your upper elementary students, because that's something I have to continue doing throughout the school year, because if we're not keeping a steady beat together, we're not going to stay together. So to make this music grid for the steady beat, you need a 4x8 grid. Now I did it with agility hoops. You could also do it with rubber sit spots. You can borrow those from your gym. If you're limited on budget, painter's tape is another great option, and just make squares instead of circles. I've also seen teachers use painter's tape just with dots to show where the students jump. And then what I do next is I teach the jumping pattern, and we work with this with words first. So we say front, right, right, left, left, front, right, right, left, left, front. And then we'll maybe try that on our knees as well and doing the movements. So we go front, right, right, left, left, front. And then we'll try that with a drum first and just really reinforce that steady beat. while saying the movements. And then our first experience doing this with the hoops, I just have one row of students on one side of the hoops, and we all do it the same way together. And the students really need some reminders as well that every second time we say front, that's when the next person is going to jump in. So that might be just one class just doing that. And then the second class, we might be ready to try one group starting on this side, another group starting on this side. And we do that with the drum first. And then the students will see how they weave between each other. And if they're doing it correctly, they shouldn't bump into anybody else. So we practice that with the drum. And then we add in the music when I feel that they're ready to go. So here, and so I actually first learned this activity from Kristen Lutko. And she so kindly made a kids demo of this for Musicplay Online, and her kids did such a great job. So we'll just watch her kids do this, and you can kind of get an idea of how it works.
Get ready, and 5, 6, 7, 8, front, right, right, left, left, front, right, right, left, left, front, right, right, left, good job, front, right, left, left, front, right, left, left, front, right. You're amazing. Front, right, right, left, left, front, right, right, left, left, front, right, right, left, left, front. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's so good. Left, left, front, right, right, left.
Also great exercise for you and your student.
Front. Oh, this is so nice. Way to go. Front, right, right, left, left, front, right, right,
I also found it helpful to have.
I love it. Do I hear some beautiful singing out there too? Woo! Front, right, right, left, left, front, right, right, left, left, front, right.
I think I'll pause it there. And what's great about this again too is you can use this with a variety of songs. So Kristen did this with Sky Full of Stars, the Musicplay version. So I've linked that for you here on the slides. Some other good choices are Someday by One Republic, It's Raining Tacos, my kid's favorite song by Perry Grip, Now and Never by Kendrick Lamar, and Noise Storm by that's actually Crab Rave is the title, and it's by Noise Storm, and that's a great electronic dance music song. So what I look for songs with the music grid is something that's at a moderate tempo, something not too fast, and something that has a strong beat. So another activity you can do to explore a variety of genres is the tap and grab game. So this video is my fabulous mom and my brother are going to teach you how the game works. And they did this one to Wallflowers, which you can find in grade 4 on Musicplay. And then I'll just show you afterwards how you can bring that into a variety of genres.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Gaudet. Here's a game you can use when you've got a song that teaches many concepts, but not a really good game to go with it. You will need an object that can be picked up. I like a beanbag. You could use an egg shaker. You can use anything that can be picked up. You'll play the game with a partner, and we'll start by practicing tapping the beat. You tap, then your heart. Tap, heart, tap, heart, tap, heart. The trick is, one of you starts on the beanbag, one of you starts on the heart. So partner, you start on the beanbag, here we go. And now that we've got that part, we could actually play the game. Now the game is, if I pick up the beanbag, my partner has to put a fist down. If the beanbag's there, you tap on it with a flat hand. So if the beanbag's gone and you put a flat hand down, you lose and the game's over and you start again. So let's try that part of things. Are you ready, partner? Here we go.
Oh!
Let's try again. Here we go. And that's how the game works. Now what you do is you add the song with the play, and you turn the song now into the tapping and grabbing game.
Okay, so that gives us an idea of how the game is played. So for the extensions, what I do with my students is I try and challenge them first to reach a set number of beats. We go by 8 beats, then 16, then 32, then maybe 64. Then we'll maybe change up the tempo. And then once they get pretty good at the game, we can try it with songs from different genres. And some ones that I listed here, the Weller Man on Musicplay Online, the Darth Vader theme by John Williams, and Floating Through Space with Sia and David Guetta. And how I work this to make it into a game when we do longer listening examples is if students make a mistake and have to restart, that counts as a point against them, either individually or as a group. So they could play as a group against the rest of the class, or they can play against each other, do their best to keep track of the points while we're doing the listening example, and then we can share our scores at the end. So that's another great example of a game that you can use with a variety of genres. And so once my students have had that opportunity to explore and listen to a variety of musical styles and genres, then we were ready to go into the unit. So the genres of music unit is kind of in 2 parts. So there's the introduction, which is going to go through what is a musical genre, and a brainstorm activity, a guessing game, song analysis, and then also some specific genre outlines. And then after we complete all of that, that's when I felt my students were ready for the projects. So I'm going to show you where all of that is on Musicplay. So here is that first section, the introduction to popular genres. And start here in the concept slides with introduction, because this will kind of guide you through as the teacher of what to do along the way. So you can present these slides to your students, and then I'll just show you where to find the connecting activities along the way. So we go through first, what is a musical genre? And then we do the genre guessing game video. So what you do with this one is it'll play a short segment, and then the students guess which genre they think it is. So if I just go back into the unit here, it's right here, the music genres quiz. And I hit play. And we'll play a genre. We'll play until the yellow fills in all the way to the end. And then close to the end there, I hit pause. And then you can either have the student writing out their guess on a whiteboard, raise their hand after they hit their guess, and then that. So we would pause, take our guesses, and then it will reveal the answer. Okay, and then it just keeps going right into the next genre. On the video, and we take our guesses again, and then it will reveal our answer as Latin. So you can go through, it's about 5 minutes long, and I asked Musicplay to create this for me because I was really struggling to find something that didn't look too babyish for grade 5, grade 6 age students, and something also that had appropriate music for grade 5 and 6 kids in school. It was really, really hard to find anything that was appropriate to share with a guessing game. Okay, and then if I go back into that introduction, so we do the genre guessing game, and then we can do some reflection questions. Which ones were the easiest for you to guess? Which ones were the hardest? What Did you think about the genres? What was new and surprising? So you can guide your students through those questions. And then after this, I like to do a brainstorm because I want to make that connection of what they're learning or what they're listening to at home and bringing that into the classroom. So I ask my students to think about what music you like to listen to at home and name that genre and share it with the class. So I just hand out a bunch of sticky notes and they can write a genre on there, and then we paste that up onto the whiteboard. And we continue to add together. Is there anything we missed, something else we want to include? And then we talk about our genres and maybe what's surprised us and how our musical tastes are different. And for me, this was really interesting to see because it was such a variety of music that my students were listening to at home. They were listening to country music. They were listening to electronic dance music, a lot of Indian pop in my classroom as well. So it was really great to see different cultural backgrounds bringing in the music that they listen to at home. So next, we want to make that connection between the elements of music and the genres. So I explained to the students that the elements of music, these are the building blocks of a song. And we've really been learning about this since kindergarten, but maybe we just haven't labeled it in this way yet. So we talk about them including rhythm, beat, melody, harmony, tempo, dynamics, timbre, form, texture, and lyrics. And then a fun way for them to write out the definitions for this is to do the elements of music search. So if I go back again to the supporting resources in the introduction here, here you can find the elements of music search and print out this worksheet for your students and then print these out and cut them in half and then place them around your classroom. And the students have to walk around to find the definition for each of the elements of music. And if they finish early, I also like to put this on the back, the elements or the word search worksheet for genres of music. So this just gives them a little something extra to do if they do finish early. And then from there, we go through and we talk about that together and we go through each of the elements. So here's just some pictures. It's actually right from my classroom of my students doing this. And then having that discussion time afterwards. And then all of those are written out up on the slides here as well. So you have easy access to those to go through them with your students. So after we've gone through that introduction slide, now we're ready to do some song analysis. So Musicplay and I created 2 different worksheets for song analysis because what I discovered was some of my students struggled with the vocabulary, so they needed more prompts. So we have 2 options for the song analysis. This one here is more checklist based, and then the other one is more open-ended. I found my students had more success with the level 1 option. And so I would print this out double-sided. And then the first time we would do this together as a whole class, and I would select a piece of music for them. And then the second time, they would do it in small groups. Now for the listening examples, I always tried to pick out 2 contrasting styles and something older and then something more modern to do. Give them some variety. And I also included for you in the unit here, this is a school safe playlist link here. So if you click on this link, it's going to take you into a Google Doc and a whole bunch of songs for each genre that you can use with those analysis activities to help save you time and make sure that they're school safe for you to use as well. Okay, so then after we've done those song analysis a couple of times, now I feel like my students are ready to start exploring into the projects. And I just want to show you one other thing in the unit. So if you do want to dive into a specific genre more in depth, we also created some concept slides for all these genres listed here below. So for example, if we go into electronic dance music, it will give you the history of it and information, influential artists, And then again, if you click on this slide here, it'll take you to those school safe listening examples again. And then at the end here are just the kind of general elements of music for that specific genre. So if you are doing some of the music analysis activities, you could also use this to help you out a little bit if you're needing some help describing some of those musical elements. Okay, so from here now, I feel my students are ready to start going into some of the genre of music projects. So the projects, they include a lot. We really made them very detailed for you. So they include teaching notes, printable worksheets, project checklists, slideshow options, teacher examples, and rubrics. So I actually want to start in the second project listed here, Unpack the Track. This was probably the favorite of my students, and it was kind of more of a mid-level for the project. I'd say this one, the Exploring Musical Genres project, was the most challenging. This one was second, and then the Tracks of Me would be the easier project out of the three options. So for this one, the students get to pick a song. It has to be a school-safe song, and then they analyze that song and the elements of music within that song and within that genre. So here are the teaching notes for this. So again, in all the teaching notes, I really highlighted that preparation phase of doing all those introductory activities first before going into the project. And then within the project phase, we give you a few different options to make it work based on what technology you have available in your classroom and your students' needs. So there's worksheet options, and then there's project option, and slideshow. And most of my students, they enjoyed doing slideshows. So we focused in on the slideshows. So if I could just go back here, I can show you. This is the worksheet option. So if you just want the students to pick their track and then write about it here, you can just have that for your students. And so that's a very simple way to do it, very minimal prep required. Then the other way is to do it through a project. So this is the project checklist, and I have the students complete this before they hand it in to me. So they can share how they plan to share their information. Do they want to do a paper poster, digital slideshow, a podcast, a video, or something else? And so this is if you have the time to give them more choices. Again, I didn't have a lot of time, so we all just did the digital slideshow option. And then your project would include all of this information. And they check that off, and then they hand that into you. And then I like to give a teaching example for the students so that they have a better idea of what I'm expecting. So we also, I'm going to do this through the concept slides instead. So here is the slideshow teacher example. So again, I list out what I want them to complete on each slide of the slideshow. And then here's my example. This is the one that I made. And so my song was Viva La Vida by Coldplay. A lot of Coldplay today. And then I did this in Canva, so unfortunately I can't link the video directly here from Musicplay Online. And then I talked about what the genre was and why I like that genre. And then the timbres, so we talked about what instruments and voices are in the song, and I showed the students how I give a picture of the instrument and I label the instrument. And then we talk about the musical elements. Now I narrowed it down to fewer of the musical elements that we did in the full musical elements activity, because some of them were quite challenging for the students to do. So narrow it down if you need to. And then talked about what the song is about. And then this slide I made optional, 3 interesting facts about your artist. So I found some students had time to do this and some did not. Now, of course, that's a teacher example, so it looks great, but I also have some student examples I can share with you as well today. So I'm just going to go back into Canva here, and I can show you some of our student examples. So here is student example 1. So we did ours in Google Slides. And so again, I had the slideshow outline here at the beginning, and then we did a title slide, And then this student chose to pick an Indian pop song. And what's great about Google Slides is they can insert the video right into their presentation. And I can see it and watch it. Okay, and then my student explained what genre it was, why she likes that genre. And you can see here, she did put in some of the instruments, but she didn't label them for me. So she maybe lost a little bit of marks there. And then the musical elements, what the song is about, and then interesting facts about that artist. So another student example is here. And this student chose to do I'm Still Standing by Elton John. And so their genre was pop rock, and they explained again about what their genre was and what they liked about that genre. This student did remember to label their instruments and went through the musical elements and talk about the lyrics. And then the student did not have the time to do the 3 interesting facts to add to that. So again, I had to make that optional for time. So then from there, on Musicplay Online as well, there's all the rubrics that you can use to do the marking for this. So there's the knowledge and understanding piece, the application of genre concepts and musical elements, and then the clarity and presentation. And so I just printed this out for each student, completed the rubric, and then handed that back to them for their project. So another project option is the exploring genres of music. So this one kind of works backwards from Unpack the Track. So for this one, they're going to select a musical genre. They're going to explain about the influential artists and the musical elements of that genre, and also explain how the genre has influenced people, fashion, or culture. And then at the end, they share a school appropriate song from that genre. Now, I'm just going to give you one tip today about school safe songs. Make sure that you check every single one because there's just so much in the music that the kids are listening to at this age that is inappropriate for school. So I do go through and I make a checklist. Don't make my mistake. I did have one student that I didn't check, and I went to go look at her project in Google Classroom, and she had selected a very inappropriate song by Snoop Dogg. So unfortunately, I had to have her redo the project. So just make sure that you're picking, or that you're checking what your students are picking, and don't make my mistake. So the Exploring Genres of Music project, I'll show you this one on Musicplay Online here. So this is the first project. And as I mentioned earlier, this one's a little bit more challenging than the Unpack the Track. So again, we have the detailed teaching notes here, again, explaining that you should do that preparation phase first before going into the project phase. Again, we have the worksheet option, the project checklist, and then the slideshow option, and then the rubric and assessment. So if I go into here, I can see the project checklist again. And I also have here the worksheet option. So you could also use these worksheet options as an outline before they make their presentation as well. And then we have the teaching example. So I outlined what I want on each slide for the students to do. And I did electronic dance music. So I went through just answering the questions for each of the slides, some influential artists, the musical elements, the influence of electronic dance music, and then again, a song example. I wasn't able to connect that through Musicplay Online for you. And then when they're done, again, you also have the rubric. So I do also have a student example of this one. So if I go back here, here is a student example. So this student chose to do rap, and Again, I had to explain to the student, you have to pick a school appropriate song. So we'll just see at the end here what the student ended up finding. So they had to explain how and where your music genre started, some influential artists, the musical elements. So when my students did this project, Musicplay Online didn't have those great concept slides yet with all of the information that they need to complete these musical element parts of the project. So if I was to do this again, I would just have them using those to help them because it was challenging for them to sometimes find that information online. And then instruments. This kid loved putting in the different gifts in there. And then explain how your music genre has influenced people, style, or culture. And then the student picked one of Snoop Dogg's children's songs to be able to bring rap into the school. So he made it work and did a good job on this project. All right, and then again, we have the rubric there. Okay, and then this next project, Tracks of Me, I've used this one from grade 4 and up. This project, I like to use it towards the end of the school year, maybe those last like 2 to 3 weeks of school. And it really just gives students an opportunity to explore how music impacts their everyday life by picking out a real life scenario from a list or from their own ideas, and then choosing, again, a school appropriate song that fits with that scenario, and then explain in a few sentences why they picked that song. So there was the worksheet option available for this, or they could create a slideshow as well. I actually preferred the worksheet option for this one. So I'll just show you where to find that on Musicplay. So here is Tracks of Me. So again, we have the teaching notes here for you that goes through. Again, we do suggest you do that preparation phase with the introduction activities, and then goes through the project options. And here is the worksheet option. So the students pick their scenario, and I'll show you just in a moment where you can find a big list of scenarios that you can use. You can display those on the board while the students work on the worksheet. And then they need to list the song name, the artist, the musical genre, and then why did you pick this song for the scenario. And the worksheet gives room for 3 scenarios and then 2 reflection questions. Select one of your song choices. How did the music enhance the experience of the activity or mood you were in? And how does the music you listen to impact your daily experiences or mindset? So really making that connection between music and the way that we feel, and how it can affect our mood and our emotions. And then we have here, we did the teaching notes. I'm just going to show you the slideshow here. So this is where you can find a list of all the scenarios. So single slides of scenarios. Here, you're celebrating a big win or achievement. You're feeling super happy and you want to dance. Or it's Friday night and you're excited for the weekend. What song are you going to pick to listen to? And this is my teacher example. So for you're celebrating a big win or achievement, I picked On Top of the World by Imagine Dragons. This is a pop rock genre. And then I explained why I picked that genre, or I picked that song. And then you can download the slides for this and then put them right into Google Slides so that the students just have to make text boxes to go over top and answer for the ones that they want to do. And then they can just delete the slides out that they don't plan to use. And then there is one, I believe, at the end where you can pick your own. Keep going here. Yes, so here's one that you can make up your own. And then the reflection questions are right there as well. So I do have a student example of this one as well. And this one was done actually by my daughter. So it was kind of fun seeing what song she picked out. So you're celebrating a big win or achievement. She picked We Are the Champions by Queen. her music genre is rock, and then she wrote out why she picked that song. And again, what's nice about the Google Slides is you can insert the song and a video of the song right into your slideshow. Then for You're Feeling Super Happy and Want to Dance, she picked Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. And You're Having a Bad Day and Need a Song to Cheer You Up, she picked out Happy by Pharrell Williams. And this one really surprised me. For a family road trip, she picked out Wannabe by the Spice Girls. So I was like, maybe she's got a millennial mom here. It's music that I listened to when I was a kid. So fun to see her pick that one out. And then for her reflection questions, so select one of your songs and how did the music enhance the experience or the activity or mood you were in. And she selected the song We Are the Champions, and she said, the music made everything feel even more awesome, like we were in a movie. It was super loud and cool, and it made me feel really, really proud and happy inside. It was like the music was cheering us on. So that was really sweet to see. And then reflection number 2, how does the music you listen to impact your daily experiences or mindset? And she said, music helps me feel better when I'm sad or tired, like a magic power. If I listen to fun songs, I get more energy and feel ready to play or do my homework. It's like music can change my whole mood in just a few minutes. So very fun to see what she came up with. So those are the 3 projects. And again, all the rubrics and everything, all the printables are there for you to make things as easy as possible for you as the teacher to bring this into your classroom. So I did want to end off here today just to talk about some of the challenges with doing these types of projects in the music room and as a specialist teacher. So for me, the biggest challenge was the time constraints. I only teach my students 30 minutes twice a week, and so it was really hard to get these projects done. So what I did to help manage that a little bit is I would set out a chunk of the project that I wanted completed within that class time. So I would say, today I want this, this, and this done. And then we check in at the end and see how everybody's doing along the way. And this just kind of helped to guide them, to keep them on track with completing the projects. Unfortunately, things happen. Like I had this one class that every day at 9 o'clock, for whatever reason, the Wi-Fi would go out in my room and they weren't able to use their Chromebooks. And so that really affected how quickly we could get the project done. And then, of course, another big challenge is the differentiation. So for myself, being the specialist teacher, I wasn't as familiar with which students struggled with reading and writing as much. And so I really had to differentiate on the spot. So I would discover very quickly which students I need to sit beside and work with, maybe help scribe, which students I need to simplify the project for. I also had 2 or 3 students join in grade 6 during this unit, and they didn't speak English. And so I had to use a lot of Google Translate. And again, I simplified the project for them. So for example, with the timbre, maybe we just did 1 or 2 instruments in their song. Same with the musical elements. We just picked the simple ones like dynamic and tempo, just to make it manageable for them, because they're already learning a new language, and then throwing all this vocabulary at them is a lot. And then I was lucky enough to sometimes have a teacher's assistant with some of my grade 6s. So I would take advantage of that as well and have her work with some of my students that needed some additional help. When it came to resources and equipment, I was very lucky last year that my grades 5s and 6s did have one-to-one Chromebooks in their classrooms. But otherwise, I have found that the teachers, they're very accommodating for when you want to use electronic devices in the music room with their students, because they know you only have that one block of time. So my teachers have always been really great about that. And if I need to book the computers, they will often, if they're planning to use them during that block, they'll be like, oh no, I can juggle my schedule around easier than you can juggle yours. So you take the computers for this block and then we'll make it work later. Again, if you don't have as much Chromebooks, iPads, laptops to do this, the worksheet option is another option for you. Another thing you can do is maybe have students do this in partners if you're limited with how many Chromebooks you have available. Okay, And then the other thing that was challenging as well was classroom management. So for this, I find in grade 5 and grade 6, they really like to work with their friends and they're very social. And so I would allow them to sit and work with their friends as long as I could see their screens and they were on task. And if I didn't see those two things happening, then they would have to come and work with me. And they didn't like that. They wanted to be back with their friends. So usually that was enough. And then, of course, if necessary, you have to spend a little bit of extra time with Mrs. Werner at recess to get caught up on your project because you were not focused during your class time. So just having those consistent strategies in place to manage those behaviors as well. And then assessment and feedback. So one thing that really worked in my favor when doing these projects was I was rotating through different units at the time. So with my grade 6s, their general music, we had alto recorders, and I wanted them to learn alto recorders to kind of prepare them for band for middle school, but I only had one class set of alto recorders, and I didn't have time to clean them in between classes. So I chose to do a rotation. So one class was doing alto recorders, one class was doing ukuleles, and one class was doing these projects. And I discovered later that this really worked well for me because when it came down to assessment, these projects take a little bit more time to mark. And I only had one class at a time that I had to mark. And then my ukulele and my recorder unit, most of the assessment towards the end was done within class time. So it just made it a lot more manageable. And then when it comes to giving feedback, again, I used Google Classroom, so I was able to go in and comment and give the students some feedback along the way. And then I really tried my best to go around the classroom and give that verbal feedback as they were working through their project and try my best to check in with everybody along the way to keep them on track. Okay, so I think I'm actually doing quite good for time here. So just to end off today, and I really hope that these projects are useful for you in your classroom. I also just wanted to share a little bit more about what's going on at Musicplay. So we're very excited to have established the Denise Gagne Memorial Society. This is something that I'm very proud of and a way that we can continue Denise's legacy and her generosity. She was so well known for being so generous with her materials for music teachers. So keep an eye on our social media because we're going to be having grants coming soon for classroom materials. So that can be for resources for your rooms, for instruments, professional development opportunities, and Musicplay online access. And then we also have coming up our Sing Dance Play conference for Musicplay online. It's going to be in Washington, D.C., virtual or in person. So if you are in the area, we'd love to see you in person. And then our virtual experience it's very different than a webinar format. It is like you are there with us because we live stream it and you get to see everything that's happening, the teachers interacting with the presenters, and it's a really fun experience. And so we'd love to see you there. I think we had people all the way from Australia and Malaysia joining us last year for our virtual conference. And then I have a few upcoming MEA presentations, so please come on out and say hi. In January, we'll be in Illinois. In February, I'll be in Ohio, and then Texas, and Maryland, and then rounding things off, in April, I will be presenting at the National ORF Conference in Halifax. So again, if you're looking for more, continue watching these Wednesday webinars. They're so useful. There's so much valuable information, and I love that you get to hear things from a variety of teachers to learn about how they're using Musicplay online. You can also check out our newsletters. I write that every week. And Musicplay Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and you can follow me on Instagram at Stacy Musicplay.
All right, Stacy. Well, we do have a question here too. Let me call up this screen. The question is from Jen. It says, how do students find the information about the genre and music? Are there certain websites you used with your class?
It was challenging to find specific websites, and that's why I had Musicplay create the concept slides to work with that. They would do Google searches to find out information, and sometimes Google, it's getting so good now that it would narrow things down right at the top for them. And so that was very helpful, but we didn't have specific websites that had all the genres there.
Right. And that's it for our questions, Stacy. And just a reminder to everybody that as of right now, our next Wednesday webinar is on December 10th here with Stacy, where music centers and classroom games and sort of engaging students through play. So that will be another exciting opportunity, and December's going to be here before we know it.
Yes, and thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good evening, everybody.